Welcome back, everybody, to the live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session ahead of the Australian Grand Prix after the first 30-minute practice session we have had this season. The first one we've had for a while, I think, because it's the first one we've had. It be 30 minutes. I'm joined by a different commentator this time, though. Nico has gone to bed because I think he's extremely knackered from work. I'm joined instead by GP2 main commentator Robert Ionescu.
Yes, hello there, Joe. A bit weird to come in on such short notice, but I don't mind. I'm glad to be here.
Indeed. Obviously, you caught a glimpse of what happened in practice, so what did you make of it?
I don't remember the results, but it was interesting.
Indeed. But we are here this time for the qualifying session, the one that really counts, and it'd be interesting to see who's going to get the first pole position of the season. Now, the weather, look at this. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed. We've got some light rain for the first part of qualifying, and then we've got, I believe that is, from the looks of it, a 70% chance of rain for Q2. So,
I'd have a repeat of last season.
interesting. Yes, indeed. We've got a 70% chance of rain for Q2. What Q3 is going to be, we'll have to wait and see. But and 75% for Q3 for that. So we've got rain for the entirety, light rain for the first one, and then I think normal wet weather for the second one, and then a bit of a mix in the third one. We'll have to wait and see. Well, then again, it don't really matter with this one because GP4. But anyway. Let's get on with it then, shall we? Let's get on with the first qualifying session of the season. And given that it's wet, of course, we can get underway hopefully very, very soon. And given that it was wet last season, are we possibly looking at something similar for this season, of course? Remember last season when David Cupop managed to get P3 in qualifying? Are we going to see something similar here?
No. Because I remember, I was the one commentating it after all, so yeah, could be interesting happens this season.
Yeah, indeed. Maybe we'll get something similar. We'll see. Well, leave your predictions, guys, on who you think will get eliminated in the first part of qualifying. I'm going to ask you, Rob, who do you think will be knocked out in Q1?
Well, I think we got the elephant. We got to address the elephant in the room. I think both the Manners, both the Hasses, and both the Williamses are going to go out.
Yep. I'm going to go with both Manners, both Hasses, one Williams, and one Alfa Romeo. I'm going to go with. So,
right.
That's my prediction. As we're currently on the slick tyres so far, so we're not going to expect the rain to kick in until a little bit later on. So for some of these guys, they need to get a lap time in very quickly. And luckily, all 22 cars usually go out at the same time, unlike we've seen in the past. So there shouldn't really be an excuse, but we will wait and see. As Amelia Wilson is the first car on the track here in Q1. She makes her way towards turn number 3, and I think Rob might be having some connection problems at the moment. I think he's just rejoined back in because I think he was having some screen share buffering at this point in time. So I think Rob was just having some issues on his end, but I think he might be back now.
The issues are still there. I'll keep trying a few more times to sort it, but don't mind me.
Okay. Rob just having a few connection issues at the moment, guys, but hopefully he should be able to fix the problem. As we look at Amelia Wilson, who now makes her way towards, I think this is turns 8 and 9 on the track. She makes her way down this long sweeping left-hander. And just coming around the left-hander now then. She'll make her way towards this very quick chicane. To the left, then to the right, before making her way down towards the fourth to last corner. And obviously the profile of this fourth to last corner will obviously change when Formula 1 comes back here in real life, hopefully next year. Specifically the way the exit of the corner is profiled. Through the right-hander goes Amelia before making her way towards the penultimate corner. Making it through left-hander and now into the final turn so that she starts her first qualifying lap in the top class. Her first ever qualifying lap in the top class, of course. This being her rookie season. So I'm just going to quickly have a look at some of the predictions that you guys have left. Dennis has said both Williams, both Manners, and both Hasses. Franco has said both Manners, both Hasses, and Alfa and a Williams, so the same one as me. And Chris has said both Williams, both Manners, one Haas, and one Alfa Romeo. So some interesting predictions for the first part of qualifying. As Wilson makes her way out of turn 3, through turn 4, and now into turn 5, which is flat out. Flat through turn 5 you go. She'll now make her way towards turn 6, 7, and 8. 28.489 is her first sector time. And Byrne is also behind as well, 2 temps up in the first sector. And also is De Rosa on Wilson, as to be expected, given that she is in a manner. Have you got the problem sorted out, Rob?
Not really. I can't. The screen share from here is and continues to buffer, so I can't actually see anything. But at least I've got. For some reason, I can actually hear it, but I can't see it. I can hear the engine noises.
Ah, the joys of Discord, eh? Somebody said in the stream chat, actually.
I guess
It
I can do that.
is a few seconds behind, but given that you're only doing co-commentary, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, Rob. Anyway, the first laps are about to be complete. Wilson now coming down the pit straight. Let's see what the benchmarking time is going to be from Amelia Wilson. And it is going to be a 1:25.349. Byrne manages to better that by 1.1 seconds to go to the top, of course. Videri crosses the line to go into second. Here comes Franco Lopez, the defending champion. The Argentine, the first non-European to win the title in the top class, crosses the line. Goes top by 6 tenths, and Carr beats him by a further 4 tenths, a 1:23.075. Here comes Roberto Gamba in the Ferrari, goes into third. Miklos Gau crosses the line, he goes to third, 7 tenths off of Almar Carr. Here comes Felix Sontag making his way down the pit straight. He's got a slightly different helmet for this one. He's had a slight adjustment to his helmet as Sontag goes into 8th that time by. 9th for Fraser, soon becomes 10th because Martinez goes in front of a teammate to go into 7th. 6th for Jake Galloway. Here comes Dudu Kirby across the line in the Haas. He goes into 7th. Here comes Laura Chung across the line in the Ferrari, and she goes into 2nd to get in between the two Mercedes there. So very surprising there indeed. Here comes Joseph Willows in the McLaren. Across the line goes the 2-time champion. He goes into 5th as Franco Garber, meanwhile, goes into 2nd, 3 tenths behind Almar Carr. As here comes Gabriel Gomez across the line in the Alfa Romeo, holding up De Rosa, goes into 11th as De Rosa goes into 7th behind his teammate. 2nd for George Roke, a good time for him there to get in front of Garber. So up into P2 goes George Roke. Here comes Jamie Griffiths in the Williams. Across the line goes the Welshman, and he goes into 17th as it's P14 for Chatfield, P9 for Roland Motrin, way off his teammate George Roke at the moment. Davey Cupark across the line, he will go in the Alpha Tower. The star of qualifying last season goes into 7th position at this point in time, and there the first lap's done. Whether we'll get any more improvements or whether the rain will come into an effect on the second flying laps, we'll have to wait and see. It doesn't look like it at the moment, but you never know with GP4 weather. But at the moment, it is Carr at the top with Roke in 2nd and Franco Garber in 3rd. And currently in the drop zone, we have Videri, Martinez, Wilson, Griffiths, Sontag, and Fraser. So what did you make of those first laps that time, Rob?
Yes. I'm having major connection issues, so just don't worry about it.
Okay.
I can at least watch the stream. So okay, what time does it say for you on the stream, guys? Because I'm getting into 13:01 right now.
We're around there. We're around there.
Right, good. I got Wilson coming into the pits. She's gonna be well back in the garage.
What did you make of those first laps, Rob? Were you able to see much?
I think, well, I can see the results. I can see Almar Carr being on top, no real surprise. George Rook doing very good at a racing point. George Chung not doing bad at all in the Ferrari, being ahead of the Mercedes or Lopez. That's quite a surprise, but welcome on.
Yeah, indeed, especially given the struggles that Ferrari were showing in testing, currently in 4th position. Whether that will change or not, we will have to wait and see. But the racing points showing the pace that they were able to show in pre-season testing with Roke. And what's become of me?
Don't forget that in real life.
My quote. My quote.
Ferrari were so bad in Ferrari was so slow. However, they still managed to get 2nd in the opening race. And GP4 can be even more unpredictable than real life. So who knows what's gonna happen?
You will see, of course. It seems that the quote I usually use after the lap seems to be getting to meme stages right now. So I was wondering if it would get there.
Let's hope it ends up on YouTube Rewind.
Oh yeah, it's rewind time. But I think that's making a comeback this year, isn't it? After a year out. But anyway,
I hope not.
We've got some. Yeah, oh god, indeed. Anyway, Amelia Wilson, just like previously, going out first on the track. Now, usually, as we've seen plenty of times in qualifying, usually the second laps are usually the laps where we see a lot of improvement. Whether that's still going to be the same case after this, we'll have to wait and see. as Wilson makes her way towards turn 3 now then on the track. And Ra once again sending me GIFs via DM. This time Will Smith saying rewind time.
I'm surprised he
But,
didn't send you the Ulos gif. He sends all the time.
he sends a few gifts to me a lot in DMs. He is the gift man at the end of the day. But anyway,
Yes.
anyway, we're back to the action. Amelia Wilson out on the track first. Also on the track with her, we've got Roberto Gamba, Amar Carr, Evan Byrne, Jake Galloway as well. So those 4 also joining her on the racetrack at this point in time. She'll be hoping not to get held up by the time she gets back around the track, as she's currently in 19th position, just specifically 12 thousandths off her more experienced teammate Rosetta Martinez. So far the Mana's looking pretty decent so far in this session, being 18th and 19th. We expected them to be a fight towards the back of the field between Mana, Williams, Haas, and of course Alfa Romeo, and so far it looks like that's going to be the case at this point in time. Although,
Meanwhile, Ra, I've just seen your DM, Ulos indeed.
yeah, indeed. But Chatfield didn't have the best first lap, it must be said. I think it was because he did get held up on his first lap, so there's still probably more time to find for Chris Chatfield, who of course moves over from Haas to AlphaTauri after, you could say, a Rookie of the Year style performance in 2019. But this is his second season now with the rebranded AlphaTauri, looking to make an impression. Luckily for Wilson, it doesn't look like she's going to get any traffic, so let's see if she's able to find some improvement as she makes her way up towards turn 3. The rain still hasn't arrived at the moment, so it seems we're going to get a dry second run of laps through into turn
5 tenths down on her teammate, so she's gonna need to improve this one if she wants to make it through. Let's see how she goes for turn 5 flat out.
She is 45 thousandths off her personal best in the first sector, and so she can still pull it back in the last 2 sectors, but it's all depending on how she's able to hook this one up. Through into the right and left hander she goes now then, as she tries to get as close to the wall on the exit as possible without touching it, of course, because it could lead to some dramatic consequences. But she's lost a bit more time now in the second sector, 2 tenths down on her personal best. So it looks like she's not going to be able to get out of the drop zone at the moment. It looks like she's going to remain in 19th at least, unless Griffiths, Sontag and Fraser are able to find some improvement. But it looks like Griffiths is going to be staying in the garage for this lap, clearly confident that the rain will hold off by the time he gets back out on the track.
You know what happens. There's always somebody who stays into the pits for the second lap. Maybe not the best idea, but either way, Jamie Griffiths, it is his idea for this time around.
While Wilson comes down the straight, got to her Red Bull, and she does not improve. The Red Bull just about to start that. Hopefully didn't get too impeded by the time they start the lap. Galloway on an improvement though. Green second sector, according to the def panel on the top right. Through the final turn. The final turn goes the 2016 Formula E champion. Galloway comes across the line. Where can he go? And he goes only 13th with that time. Roberto Gamba on improvement goes up to 6th. A good time for him there indeed. So 4th and 6th for the moment for the Ferraris. As Byrne there wasn't able to improve, remains in 12th place. Here's Rosetta Martinez. Doesn't look like he's on an improvement. Got one of the racing points behind him. Out of the final turn we go now then, and onto the pit straight. That racing point's going to get a healthy tow down the straight, but Martinez crosses the line. No improvement. Roke doesn't improve. Meantime, Fraser's on the improvement. Let's see what the 2019 GP2 champion can do. Goes into 14th. A good time there, but Fidelli then goes into 14th. Lopez goes up into 3rd position, making it a 1-3 for Mercedes, or 1-2-3 you could say. As Fraser didn't improve. I don't think that Red Bull didn't improve either. Sontag goes up to 14th. Chung goes up to 2nd. A good time for Chung there.
Brilliant effort there.
Off of Carr. As meantime, De Rosa goes up into 6th. A brilliant improvement for him. Willows wasn't able to improve, remains in 10th. Motrin's on the improvement. Let's see what the Hungarian can do. And he goes into 5th. So big improvement there. So he's just 24,000 off his own teammate George Rowe. Chatfield across the line. Can he get out at 16th? No, he's still in the drop zone. Only 19th. So far, Chatfield currently struggling. Gamba doesn't improve. Remains in 6th position. Here comes Gabriel Gomez, making his way around the second to last corner before approaching the final turn on the racetrack. Into the final corner and onto the pit straight goes the Brazilian. Across the line now then will go Gabriel Gomez. Will he be able to find some time to improve? Nope, remains in the drop zone, stays in 17th position. Here comes Q-Park, currently finding himself in 10th position, just in the top 10 at the moment. The AlphaTauri driver coming across the line, and no improvement, remains in 10th position. As everybody now coming back into the pits this time by. So far, Carr still at the top of the timing sheets, but Chung being a big surprise again on these second laps, you have to say, Rob.
Absolutely. I have no idea where that came from, but impressive effort from the Ferrari driver. I think she'll be very, very satisfied with that one.
Yep, indeed. As they're all getting wheeled back into their garages.
Don't forget
And,
something critical about this track. While the Ferrari isn't good on in the straights, and it's not good in the fast corners, but this track has plenty of slow corners, and that's one area where the Ferrari is somewhat decent. And we're trying putting that mechanical grip to good use.
Indeed, Ross sending me a damn gif there with Laura's lap.
Well, he is the gift man.
But I'm going to show you something, Rob, that I want you to keep a secret for the moment, because Flo's just sent me something that's very interesting.
I'm just seeing those DMs.
From Flo?
And in our chat for GP2.
Oh my. Yeah, very interesting. We'll let you. I think Rob will let you know what we mean later on during day 2 of pre-season testing at Silverstone. That obviously coming in just over 2 hours' time, so be aware of that. But it looks like the rain is still staying away as Jamie Griffiths is coming out onto the racetrack. So he did kind of predict it right there with the rain, because there is no sign of it on the track and no sign of any docks on track either. So who knows? It looks like the rain might actually stay away for Q1, despite what the weather forecast was suggesting. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. I might have just jinxed it at this point. Knock on wood.
Either way, it's a sigh of relief for the drivers who are currently in the drop zone. All the way from Gomez down to Griffiths, all these guys hope they're going to have another shot to get out of that drop zone and progress to Q2. And if it rains, they're not going to be able to do that. But Jamie Griffiths, that'll be a good hurrah to try to get himself on the grid for his debut, not in last place.
Indeed. Well, currently in the drop zone, for anybody who needs a reminding, it's Gomez, Kirby, Chatfield, Martinez, Wilson, and Griffiths. They are the 6 drivers currently in the drop zone. Hello, Jay. I've just realised that Jay McKenzie's in the stream chat. How are you doing? So through the right and left-hander then goes Jamie Griffiths. As other cars are now starting to come out onto the racetrack, Jamie will be hoping there'll be no traffic by the time he gets back round, similar to what Amelia Wilson was hoping previously, and luckily for her she was not able to get any traffic, but still wasn't able to improve on her personal best from her first lap. We'll be able to see if Griffiths is able to improve though, and he needs to really, because he's currently in the drop zone and currently in last position. His teammate Sontag currently looking like he's going to advance into Q2 unless some more improvements push him back down. We'll have to wait and see, but Sontag also on the track, so he's going to try and make sure if he stays in Q2. Through into the second to last turn then goes Jamie Griffiths, as he'll now make his way around the final corner and onto the pit straight he goes to start his next flying lap. Might be his last one due to how much time we've got left. We'll wait and see. As he comes down the straight, there is a car on the right. Hopefully that's not going to interfere with Jamie as they make their way towards the first corner. It might affect him here, as it's going to affect his lap, I'm afraid. So it looks like Griffiths is going to remain in last position. Such a shame there for the Welshman, not able to time it there as a result. Whilst he was able to time the weather correctly, just not quite the track position, which is a bit of a shame. Indeed. Through into turn 3 then goes Jamie, as he'll now flick the car through left hand of turn 4 and then flat out through turn 5 will go Griffiths, as he'll now make his way towards turn 6, 7 and 8 as it's 1.5 seconds between Griffiths and Carr in that sector. They'll now make their way down towards turns 8 and 9 through the right and left hander we go. Let's now go around the long swooping left-hander, and they'll now make their way towards the quick chicane, flicking it in for the left, then the right, and then in towards the last 2 turns on the track. Now coming up towards the 4th to last turn before making it towards the final 3 turns. I don't think he's going to improve, which is going to be a shame for the Welshman, but unless he performs some kind of miracle, which I highly doubt. Into the second to last corner, and now rounding the final corners. And now onto the pit straight now then will go Jamie Griffiths, as he will now come across the line. Let's see what the Welshman can do, and no improvement for Griffiths, and it looks like he's going to be out in 20 seconds. Here comes Galloway. It looks like he's no improvement for him, and that's how it stays. Here comes Wilson coming down the pit straight, and across the line now then will go Amelia Wilson, Let's see what she can do. And she looks like she's out as well. She remains in 21st. Roberto Gamba across the line. No improvement for him. Laura Chung about to start a lap. Evan Byrne is on improvement. Let's see if he can keep it up in the last sector. The Irishman crosses the line and goes into 10th position. Breaks into the top 10 with that lap. Here comes Rosetta Martinez. Round the final 2 turns goes the Filipino. And probably last chance for him to try and get himself into Q2. As Rosetta Martinez now then comes across the line. Let's see what Martinez can do, and doesn't improve, remains in 20th and looks like he's out. Fraser crosses the line and remains in 16th, still in the cusp at the moment, so he could advance into Q2. We'll have to see. Willows is on the improvement now then in the McLaren. Let's see what Willows can do. Across the line goes the 2-time champion, and he goes up to 10th, so he gets himself into the top 10 there. Felix Sontag now then coming across the line in the Williams. Let's see what the German can do, and he does not improve. Amar Khan, meanwhile, crosses the line and only just not able to improve. 2 thousandths off his personal best there. Nicolas Gal coming down the pit straight. Doesn't look like he's going to improve. Across the line will go the Hungarian. No improvement for him there then, as Gomez has a bit of a moment there coming out the third to last corner, and that's not good for him because he's in the drop zone, and that's not going to bode well for him. I think he's going to be out here, folks, so let's have a look at the replay of this mistake going through the third to last corner. And as you can see there, as he got a bit of oversteer on the exit there, and that's not going to do him any favours. And then, in turn, it led him to a lockup in the second to last corner. Gomez heading down the pit straight now, then across the line will go the Brazilian, and it looks like he's going to be out of qualifying. Across the line he goes, and he doesn't improve. Gomez is out, remains in 17th. Roque improves, but remains in third position. 1,000th off of Loa Chung. Verderi across the line goes the Italian and remains in 15th position. Kirby now then, last chance for him to get himself into Q2 to try and probably bump his teammate out, but it doesn't look like Kirby is on improvement. Across the line goes the Brazilian and he remains in 18th. So Kirby is out. Chatfield across the line and he improves but remains in 19th. So Chris Chatfield in his first race for AlphaTauri is out in Q1. A bit of a shocking one there given the pace he showed in practice. But Chris Chatfield out, only 19th for the Brit there. As surprise there. Laura Chung across the line she goes. She remains in second position. Anybody else on a lap? Yes, DeRose is on a lap, but it looks like he's fine anyway. He's currently 7th, and it looks like he's going to remain in 7th, 5 tenths off of Amar Khan. Across the line goes DeRosa, and he actually improves in the last sector, in fact. He just slightly improves, but remains in 7th. Gamba crosses the line, remains in 6th position. And that is that then. That is... no, in fact, sorry, Motrin's on a lap. False alarm there. Motrin is on a lap, but it doesn't look like the Hungarian is improving. Through the 4th to last turn he goes before making his way towards the 3rd to last corner. Getting the car in through that right-hander. Now into the penultimate corner. He's through anyway, but on this lap in particular, it doesn't look like he's going to improve. He's now through the final corner and onto the pit straight, and across the line will go Roland Motrin. And can he find some improvement in the last sector? No, he can't. And I think that is that this time by. Yes, that's that then. That is Q1 done and dusted. So Carr tops the timing sheets, but your bottom 6 are Gomez, Kirby, Chatfield, Martinez, Wilson, and Griffiths. Daniel Fraser, in his first top-class qualifying session, advances into Q2. A good qualifying for him, but the shock of it, you have to say Laura Chung and George Rote, Rob.
A very impressive effort from the two of them, especially from Laura Chung, to make it all the way up to 2nd place in that Ferrari. Even though there aren't many straights out here which would harm the engine, they're still doing incredibly well.
Indeed. So, there you go then. So, a very interesting session. It'd be very interesting to see how Q2 fares. But here's a reminder then. Your top 3, Amar Khan, Laura Chung and George Roque. And your bottom 6, Gabriel Gomez, Dudu Kirby, Chris Chatfield, Rosetta Martinez, Amelia Wilson, and Jamie Griffiths. So, obviously, we're just going to have a little break for the moment until get set for Q2 to let Yuri do his thing there. But overall, obviously you talked about Chung and Roque there, but what did you make of the session overall?
I think it was interesting.
Rob.
We got plenty of driver mistakes, and it definitely played a part there. And the biggest surprise was definitely Chatfield being knocked out. I don't think anyone predicted AlphaTauri go out, but it happened. So Chatfield will have work to do tomorrow in the race.
Indeed, not exactly the start to his AlphaTauri career that he wanted there. That is for sure. I'm now going to try and grab myself a photo for Twitter. And so in the meantime, whilst we wait for Q2 to get underway, guys, let us know your predictions on who you think will advance into Q3. Of course, we've got that 70% chance of rain for Q2, so it could be wet for this session. Probably more likely will be wet. But again, guys, leave your predictions and of who you think will get eliminated in Q2. So I'll ask your predictions later on, Rob, when we get back into the action. So meantime, as I try and get a photo of Armar Carr. At this point in time, of course, the man who topped Q1, of course, Carr looking quite strong as he did in testing, as he's looking to put the disappointment of 2019 behind him and have a much better year in 2020 and finally capture his first ever World Championship. Whether he will or not is another question, especially given he's got a very tough teammate in Franco Lopez who's looking to defend his World Championship this season.
The World Championship was never going to be easy. You got to go up against the best of the best to do it, and there's anyone who can beat Franco Lopez. I think it's Armarca. He's got the potential. He just needs to get it together because he can be very consistent.
Yep, indeed. And you never know, of course, the Red Bulls could also throw a spice in the championship as well. Both Gal and Franco Garba. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Although they're qualifying so far, they might need to try and work on that for both Q2 and Q3 if they're going to get into the sharp end of the grid with Carr and Lopez. As we've got the stream back up, and I'll check the weather in a little bit once I get the photograph. There you go. I've got the photograph of Carr, and as expected, there is some light rain in the air, but whether it will be wet, I'm not sure. According to the left-hand side, it's going to start dry, and it's just a bit of cloud cover. But whether it will wetten up, we'll have to wait and see. But it could be in a similar situation to what we were in Q1. So I think without further ado, let's get into Q2 whilst I try and pull a tweet. So leave us your predictions, guys, on who you think will get knocked out in this session. And I'm going to ask your opinion, Rob. Who do you think will be the bottom 6 in this session?
I'm only going to tell you after you answer first, Joe, honestly.
Oh, well, this is a tough one. I think Fraser and Sontar. What's happened? Oh, well done, Yuri. Well done.
A little bit of a mistake from Margot.
Yep. The weather might be a little bit different then. Hang on, guys. So the weather might be a little bit different to what it was because Mr. Yuri forgot to apply the dropped out driver. So give a moment. It won't take too long. As I just put out this tweet. In Q1 are just have a look who was out in Q1 again, just to give me a reminder. It wasn't meant to be wet, but
Right.
Just give a moment, guys. We're just trying to sort out the weather, I believe, at the moment. So just give a moment.
Okay. Well, speaking of my prediction, Joe, I think I'm gonna say that it's gonna be Felix going out. Also going to be Fraser going out as well. So Zontag and Fraser. I'm also thinking not Franco says Felix, Federi, Daniel, Reno, McLaren, and the Ferrari. But my prediction is Zontag, Fraser. I'm gonna go for a McLaren, and then a Renault, and it is just the same as his prediction. I'm going with Franco's prediction. Sorry if I'm being a copycat.
Right, well, I'm going to go with Fraser, Sontag. I think both Renaults. I think I'm going to go both Renaults on this one. I think QPOC. I'm going to say QPOC, and then I'm going to say a McLaren. I'm not sure which McLaren.
I hope that stealing Franco's prediction has accepted me into the Gambia Mafia.
Yeah, indeed. We're just waiting for the issues to sort itself out. Obviously, we wanted to try and get the weather as realistic as possible, I believe. So just give a moment, guys. We'll be underway in just a little bit. Nothing serious, guys. Just a minor little problem, easily fixable. It's nothing game breaking. Okay, fair enough then. Okay. Okay. All right then. So we've got dry at the beginning of the session, guys. The same cloud cover, but the rain is a little bit different to what it was. So if it rains, it'll go to normal and then extreme, or it could be the other way around. We'll have to wait and see. Whether it will or not, that's a question. But without further ado, let's get into it. So here we go then. Take two. Let's try again. So Franco says you're now a member, Rob. Are you still here, Rob?
Still hearing, yes, just didn't.
I was just saying there that Franco says you're now a member for being a copycat.
Oh, what an honor.
Yeah, indeed. Laura says just put me on rims, Ferrari. Thank you. The master plan. But anyway, I'm just going to go through some predictions that you guys have left whilst we were waiting. You guys have said, so Dennis has said Sontag, Vaderi, Fraser, Argamba, Byrne, and Kupok. And specifically in that order as well, from P16 to P11. Franco Gamba said Felix, Vaderi, Daniel, a Renault, a McLaren, and a Ferrari. Who else has left one as well? From Shannon Kirshana has left Fraser, Sontag, Vaderi, both Renaults, and a McLaren. And that's it. So we're now out on the racetrack, and it's Franco Gamba who's the first to come out onto the racetrack. Now, whether these will be the only laps is another question, given the threat of rain that we've got for this session. A little bit similar to Q1, but we're expecting potentially heavier rain to come towards the end of the session. But whether it will or not remains to be seen. It could be a similar situation that we were in Q1. But of course, we do have a 75% chance of rain for Q3, so be aware of that one as well. As Gamba now then makes his way through turn 5 there, flat out as he goes, as we look at everybody now coming out on the track. All 16 cars should be coming out, no issues, no excuse at all. Hopefully for those people out on track, there'll be no traffic at all. Of course, for anybody who needs a reminder, the tyres we're using for this weekend is the soft tyres. So the red soft tyres are used for this race. And of course, they did kind of go a little bit missing in 2019 until the final race of the season. Whether that will be the case in 2020, we will have to wait and see as Garmin makes his way out of the chicane, and then he'll make his way down towards the fourth to last corner on the racetrack. Taking the car in through the right-hander, using as much of the curb on the outside as possible before making his way through the third to last turn, and then into the final two corners will go Franco Gamba. Taking the car in through the left, and then into the final turn will go the Italian, as he will start his first flying lap of Q2. As all the 16 cars are now out on the racetrack, so unless people came out right behind someone, there shouldn't be any traffic at all, and there'll be no traffic for Franco Gamba as he makes his way down towards the first corner, flicking the car in for the right and then through the left-hander. He's now making his way down towards turn 3. And obviously Red Bull, of course, didn't have the best of Q1s. They'll be looking to see if they can improve on that, unless they are hiding something, of course. Maybe they're hiding a little bit more pace, ready to be unleashed for these final two sessions. We will wait and see. Approaching the end of Sector 1 then goes the Italian. Let's see, a 27.948 is the benchmark time in the first sector. Let's see what everybody else does around him, around the long swooping right-hander. As so far, nobody's gone through the first sector yet, apart from Franco Gamba until now. Willows does a 28.032, so down, of course, on Franco, but not too much, just under a tenth down on Franco in the first sector. As Carr does a better first sector than Gamba. Lopez doesn't, so Lopez down on Gamba in the first sector, as Gamba did a 50.807 in the second sector there then, making his way.
For Gamba, considering the first sector should be where Mercedes has an advantage to the long straights.
into the right-hander now, then goes Garber. Let's see what the benchmarker time is going to be for the Italian as he makes his way towards the second to last corner, flicking it in through the left. Now into the final turn, flat out as you go, or nearly flat out I should say, using as much curb, well, missing the curb on the exit I should say, judging from the DAT file, heading down the pit straight. What's the benchmarker time going to be from Franco Garber? And it's going to be a 1 minute 23.464, a decent time there for Franco Garber. Here comes Joseph Willows now then, who was, looked like he was up on Garber in the second sector in fact. Was Willows. So let's see what the two-time champion can do in the McLaren. Joseph Willows across the line. He will now go, and he goes into second, just under a tenth behind Garber on that lap. Here comes Armand Carr in the Mercedes. Can he beat Franco Garber across the line? And yes, he can by 6 tenths, a 1:22.779, the quickest we've seen today. As his teammate can't even respond. In fact, he goes behind Willows, so going to 4th position. So not a good first lap for Lopez. He had no traffic around him, did Lopez. So very poor first lap there for the defending champion. As Cupot crosses the line to go into 5th position. Grote, meanwhile, slots into 5th, 1.5 seconds behind Carr. Here comes Evan Byrne now, then coming out of the final turn and onto the pit straight. Goes the Irishman. Let's see what Evan Byrne can do across the line, and he goes into 5th, getting in front of Roque. Here comes Roland Motrin across the line, and he goes into 5th position, 8 tenths behind Carr. Here comes Roberto Garber across the line, goes into 7th. Niklas Gau across the line goes the Hungarian, and only good enough for 8th that time by for Miklos Gau. Here comes Andrea Videri in the Alfa Romeo. Across the line, no improvement for him. I kind of forgot about Videri there, that he was in Q2. I didn't mention him in the prediction, so clearly I'm predicting a bold prediction there. So, as Fraser crosses the line, does 12th, was 13th. Now 13th, I should say, because Galloway goes into 12th. Here comes Felix Sontag across the line. No improvement, goes into 16th. There's only 12th there for Chung. Looks like she got held up there by Felix Sontag, so maybe more lap time to find there for Laura Chung. But either way, at the moment, it is Carr at the top with Franco Garber in second, but a good first lap for Joseph Willows, you'd have to say, Rob.
Yeah, very, very impressed. Again, from the Mercedes, it's quite something. Maybe just 100 a second, but I think Willows has got his ticket through the Q3 secured.
Indeed, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. So there was a lot of hold-ups on that lap, and usually the second laps we do see a lot more improvement. But of course, let's not forget about that rain, of course. That could still be an impact. But so far, in the drop zone, we have Kupok, Chung, Galloway, Fraser, Videri, and Sontag. With Carr, Franco Garber, Willows, Lopez, Motrin, Byrne, Roberto Garber, De Rosa, Gal, and Roque so far going to be advancing into Q3. But we will wait and see if that's still the case by the end of it, as Franco Garber in the Red Bull is being wheeled back into the garage, and looking to see if he can try and find near enough 7 tenths on Armand Carr, who looks so far to be the favourite so far going into this qualifying session, although I might be jinxing him at that point. We'll wait and see, of course. But you remember, towards the end of the season, of course, Armand Carr's qualifying form was absolutely amazing. It was just unbelievable, and
it was an insane run of form. There are very few who can match it.
It'd be interesting to see if he can keep that up for the remainder of it. And there is one thing that I think you will probably need to address before the race. It seems like the 11 Perez and 18 Stroll have come back on the Racing Point. Maybe because there was a livery change. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's just. About that. Okay, so they should be out before tomorrow's race, if Yuri can remember, of course. As everybody is now back in the pits as we wait to see the second laps come about. The rain still hasn't arrived, so it could be like in Q1. It could stay away, but we will have to wait and see. As Videri gets pushed back into his garage. Fraser in his box, currently in 14th, ahead of Videri and Sontag. And whoa, a bit of contact there between Videri and Sontag, speaking of which there. And so a little bit of a rude welcome there from Felix, must be said, to Daniel, to the top class. But,
I guess an argy-bargy, we could say.
Yeah, indeed. As Fraser, will his car come to a stop? As his car's still crawling because of that little bit of contact. And now it's stopped, and he's now being dragged back into his garage, so no issues there at all. As we wait for another car to go out onto the racetrack, and we do, and it is Franco Lopez who's going to be the first to come out onto the racetrack, this time by the defending world champion, looking to become only the second driver to win back-to-back titles in the OC, to go alongside Florian Volker. And
he's got a long way to go until he can manage that. First, he needs to take it one race at a time. One qualifying session at a time, to be exact.
Yep, indeed. Obviously, championships are not won in the first race. They are run towards the end of the season. And who knows, maybe he could have competition from his teammate car and maybe the Red Bulls as well. We will have to wait and see. So now, Lopez makes his way through turn 5, using as much of the curb on the outside as possible before making his way towards turn 6, flicking the car through the right-hander. As he's now also joined on the track by Miklos Gau, who's looking to improve on that ninth position, and now Franco Gamba. So both Red Bulls now on the track. Evan Byrne has just come out onto the track, as has George Roque and David Kupok. And so they're now all starting to come out onto the track. Lopez hoping there's no traffic there by the time he gets back around the track. As he'll now make his way towards this quick left-right chicane. As using all the curb on the outside. And as mentioned in practice as well, Alicia will actually get an Australian Grand Prix in 2020 for the OC, unlike in real life. So I guess that's one thing for you. So
Yeah.
around the towards the second to last corner, then we'll go Franco Lopez flicking the car in. He'll now make his way around the flat out final corner and onto the pit straight goes the Argentine. And he's going to start his next lap now then, as he makes his way down towards the first two corners on the track, flicking it in through turns 1 and 2 now then. And we'll have to see what his first sector is like. A good exit there for Lopez, it must be said. We'll have to see what it's like compared to Carr in the first sector through turn 3 and then around turn 4 we'll go, as he was soon coming up towards the end of sector 1. Luckily, no traffic around him, so he should be able to get a clean lap. Let's see what his first sector is like. And he's 1/10 off of Carr in the first sector, but 2/10 up on his personal best in the first sector. So Lopez on improvement, but still not up on his teammate Carr at this point in time. And
Either
still
way,
needs
it's safe to assume these two guys are running different setups. Maybe Carr's setup is more focused on maximizing sector 1. The Lopez is doing very well.
Indeed. Let's see what his second sector is like compared to Carr into the second sector. And he's found some time in the second sector now to find himself 800ths off of Carr. So if he can keep it up, maybe he can get very, very close to him by the end of the sector, as he went 3/10 up on his personal best in the middle sector into the right-hander. And oh, Lopez is locked up. That's going to cost him a little bit of time there. He's clearly pushing hard to get close to Carr there, showing how much he really, really wants to put a statement on this season's championship straight away. Through the last two turns then goes Lopez around the final corner and onto the pit straight, as we got dots on track now then. I've just seen dots in the final corner, so the rain is starting to come. So these may be the last laps that we're going to get, and Lopez does not improve. That lockup did cost him time indeed, as we're going to get a replay of that. Let's have a look. So through into the chicane we go, and you could see it was starting to rumble a little bit at the beginning, and then he just really couldn't stop the car from locking up. But we are starting to see dots now appearing on the track, so these may be the last sets of times that we're going to see people actually improve. As meantime, here comes Miklos Gal up on his personal best in the middle sector, and up on Carr, I believe that was, unless that was just on his lap time, I'm not sure. But anyway, Gal coming down the straight, I think that was just on his lap time, across the line, and he only goes up into 7th place. Clear the dots starting to kick in on the track. Here comes Gamba, currently in 2nd place, down on his personal best in the middle sector. Around the final corner then goes Franco Gamba as he makes his way onto the pit straight now then, and the Italian is going to cross the line, and he does not improve. Here comes Evan Byrne. Across the line goes the Irishman. No improvement for him there then. Kupok across the line, and he doesn't improve either. Roque doesn't improve either. Here comes Roberto Gamba. Across the line he goes. No improvement for him. Amar Carr coming across the line, and it looks like the dots are starting to kick in, because it doesn't look like anybody is starting to improve. Willows is going to remain in 3rd, and he's way off the pace. Did he make a mistake actually on his lap, or did he get held up? He made a mistake, did Willows. He made a mistake going through into turn... I believe this is turn 9. He made a mistake. And as you can see, a lock-up into the corner, and on the grass he goes there. So Willow's clearly pushing a bit too hard there to try and find some more lap time. But it looks like he's going to be safe, judging from the amount of dots, though, on the track. So it looks like he's going to make it into Q3, along with his teammate De Rosa as well. But for Kupok, Chong, Galloway, Fraser, Videri, and Sontag, it's not good news for them, as Videri does improve still, but only up into 13th position. Fraser also improves, but remains in 14th position. Galloway actually still up on his personal best by nearly a second. So maybe there is still some lap time out there. We'll have to wait and see, as he now makes his way towards the area where the dots are. Let's see if he loses quite a lot of time in this sector. Into the 4th to last turn then goes the 2016 FE champion. Into the 3rd to last corner he goes. Kicking the car in. He'll now make his way into the final 2 turns. Is he going to lose a lot of time in this last sector? Let's see. Into the final corner and onto the pit straight then goes Jake Galloway. Let's see. Across the line goes the 2016 FE champion. Can he improve on his lap? He can, but only up into 15th. He lost a lot of time in the last sector, and it looks like it's not good news for his first top-class race. Sontag doesn't improve, remains in 16th. Chung remains in 12th, and it's starting to kick in now, the wet conditions, because the track is starting to get darker. So I think we've got our lineup then for Q3. So unfortunately for Q-Pot, Chung, Videri, Fraser, Galloway, and Sontag, unless there's some kind of dramatic change with the weather, it looks like they are out in Q2.
It's not like they have the time for another lap anyway.
Yeah, indeed. So that's that then, as they get wheeled back into their garages. We might see the odd one go out on the track, but I think it would just be to get some mileage runs, given that the rain is starting to kick in. And of course, we do have 75% chance of rain for Q3 as well. So something to bear in mind there as well in that 15-minute session. But it looks like we've got Q2 basically sorted out, thanks to the weather kicking in towards the end of the second laps.
I guess so. And, well, we got our entrance into the shootout. What remains to be seen is who actually takes the ball. It's looking good for Armarkai at the minute.
Indeed, he's looking very, very strong, topping both Q1 and Q2 in this session, and it looks like he could be the favourite for pole position. But we've seen in the past how many times we've said people are the favourites, and it turns out to be a completely different result for Q3. Whether that will be the same case here, we will have to wait and see as Videri gets wheeled back into his garage, as will Fraser. And so the Australian weather starting to kick in here at Melbourne, as Lopez is going out probably just to get some mileage. He's on the normal wet tyres, in fact, so he's probably getting some wet weather tyre running in, is Franco Lopez. So the normal wet tyres going on the Mercedes. Maybe they feel like Q3 is going to be wet, given that 75% chance of rain. So we will see as he comes out of the pit lane.
On the tires.
Indeed, Lopez coming out onto the track now then, on the wet weather tyres, as now making his way towards turns 3 and 4. Obviously, he's going to struggle a little bit here because there are no wet patches at the moment at this point of the track, but obviously towards the end of the track we are going to see some wet patches there as well. Anybody else also going to do some mileage runs on the wet weather tyres? You will see as Lopez now then goes through the right, left and right-hander. But unfortunately for Chung, despite that strong showing that she showed in Q1, unfortunately the weather has cost her dearly.
So it seems, and unfortunately she won't be able to make it for the Q3, and that will be a lowly qualifying position for the Ferrari driver. But she's got the race to look forward to, and Ferrari, if there's anything they can take from today, they got strong pace here.
Indeed, it seems that everybody is going to be doing some wet margins. As you can see, the spray is now visible in Sector 3, so it has now wetted up to the point where we now see spray coming off the cars. So you can see now why they're doing some
intermediates, so definitely the right call.
Indeed, as Lopez now makes his way into the second to last corner before making his way towards the final turn on the racetrack, as he'll now make his way down the pit straight. And Lopez coming across the line, and he's going to start his wet mileage run. Anybody else going to do a lap with him other than Lopez? Are going to have enough time to do so? We'll have to see as he makes his way into turn 1, tippy-toeing his way around, trying to get as much mileage as he can with these tyres before heading into Q3, where, of course, let me remind you for a third time, there is expected to be a 75% chance of rain, as Lopez gets a big lock up there into turn 3, and I don't think that's really much of a surprise given that this part isn't fully wet. There are dots starting to emerge on this part of the track, but still not enough to the point where the wet tyres can start to kick in. So
indeed,
that's that really.
If it's not wet enough, these tires are just going to overheat on you, lose loads of lap time.
Indeed, through the long swooping right-hander will go the Argentine, as we've got 36 seconds left on the clock, as now the spray has come into an effect now into Sector 2. Whether we will see that, well, only a tiny bit into Sector 2 I should say, whether we will see this in Q3, we will have to wait and see, as Lopez makes his way around the swooping left-hander now then, before approaching the quick left and right chicane, flicking it in through the left into the right-hander, as now we approach the final few turns on the racetrack now then, with just a few seconds left on the clock. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. checkered flag is now out, and that is the end of Q2. And of course, we've got our lineup sorted out for Q3 because of this wet weather, but we're just going to see some lap times anyway. Let's see what Franco Lopez's time is in the wet conditions as the Argentine makes his way across the line, and it's a 1:31.6 as some guys weren't able to do a mileage lap, so to speak, a hot lap, so to speak, with these tyres. Roberto Garma did, though. Let's see what sort of lap time he can get. He's made it into Q3. He's going to be the only Ferrari standing for Q3. Unfortunately, his teammate Laura Chung wasn't able to do so thanks to the wet conditions, so he's going to be the only sole Ferrari to try and get something in this qualifying session as Gamba makes his way towards the final two corners on the racetrack. Now then, into the final corner and onto the pit straight we will now go now then, and let's see what lap time Garba can do on these tyres. The conditions continue to get worse as Garba crosses the line to do a 1:32.6 as Carr also managed to get a wet mileage run underneath them, the man who's topped Q2 and Q1 of course. Carr across the line, he will now go. It is a 1:32.194. Roke crosses the line and he does a 1:32.1, and Gal crosses the line, 1:32.7 for him. Here comes Evan Byrne, also on a wet mileage run. Across the line, he will now go, and it is a 1:33.283 as Willows is able to do a wet mileage run, but it looks like he may have got held up by his former teammate Laura Chung. Not a very good time there in the wet conditions for Willows. Gamba a 1:32.7 as we now look at Kupok in his way around the final turn. Fraser going back into the pits. I just noticed they're probably just giving up on that basically as Kupok crosses the line, and it's a 1:33 for him. And they are all the laps done then. So to remind you, as we go back onto the menu screen now then, the top three, as mentioned, are Amar Carr, Franco Gamba, and a surprise Joseph Willows, with the drivers being out, which are David Kupok, Laura Chung, Andre Vaderi, Daniel Fraser, Jake Galloway, and Felix Sontag. So what did you make of that session overall, Rob?
Well, Chung being out was definitely a surprise, but yeah, rain came in not as early as we expected. It's still a little bit too late for the drivers who wanted to get out the drop zone. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to be in the shootout, but the other 10 are, and it's going to be interesting, especially if it remains wet.
Indeed, as I've mentioned, we've got the 75% chance of rain. So whether we will have a similar sort of situation to what we've had in Q1 and Q2, where it's dry and then either gets wet or doesn't get wet, we will have to wait and see, of course. Well, Yui's just going to sort that out whilst I try and put up the tweet up on Twitter.
David Kupok is not going to be able to do it again since he's dropped out. Who knows if somebody else will be able to repeat his great performance from last season in wet conditions.
Indeed, it's a P11 start this time for David Kupok, not the P3 start that he had last season.
Let's hope for his sake the race can go better than it did last time out.
Yes, indeed, and particularly given how much pace he's so far shown in that Alpha Tauri as well. There's some potential there as well.
Definitely.
Just type. As I just put that in a surprise code. As we've got the stream back on, and as you
hashtag
can see,
GP4 logic.
So it looks like we might get some similar weather here because we've got light rain and a dry session to start off with. So it might be similar to what we had in Q1. So I think without further ado, let's get on to the final part of qualifying. So leave your predictions, guys, on who you think is going to take pole position, and of course the rest of the top 10. Who are you going to go for pole position, Rob?
It's probably the most boring prediction, but seeing what happened in Q1 and Q2 is the most sensible one as well. I'm going to go for Amar Carr.
I'm also going to go for Amar Carr as well. unless we've probably jinxed him at this point. But I think given the pace he's shown, I think he's probably got the credentials to try and get another pole position here this season. Well, just kick off the season, I should say. Kick off the season, I should say. But anyway, here we are then at the start of queue number 3. And so we will see who is going to get the first pole position of 2020. As the first car on the track is going to be Evan Byrne in the special liveried Renault. And I'm just going to look at other predictions in the chat. As Franco Gamba says, Armar car for pole. As Panos has said, Franco on pole. Which Franco? Panos. There's 2 Francos. Gal on pole says Jafari. Frank Shannock says Armar for pole. Teammate Destroyer for pole. I don't know who Teammate Destroyer is.
That's Rahul's nickname for him.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not sure which Franco you mean, Panos, whether you mean Lopez or Gamba. You might need to be a little bit specific. But anyway, got Evan Byrne, who's just come out onto the track now then, as he makes his way through turn 5. Now, whether that small percentage of rain will happen towards the end of the session, we'll have to wait and see, unless we get a similar situation to what we had in Q1. We'll have to wait and see. As Byrne makes his way through swooping corners now then, before making his way towards the right and left-hander, where we've seen a couple of mistakes in the session, and particularly Joseph Willows in the last session, locking up there, as now they make it through left-hander. As everybody's starting to come out on the track now then, is everybody now out on track? Yes, all 10 cars are now out on track, so no excuses there then, as Byrne now then makes his way towards the 4th to last corner. He'll be the one setting the benchmark time for everybody to beat. Coming out the 4th to last turn before making your way towards the 3rd to last corner. Now, into the final 2 corners goes the Irishman Evan Byrne. As now, the 2nd to last corner, now into the final corner, as the Irishman now then starts his first flying lap of Q3 as he makes his way down the pit straight now then. Byrne now then going to cross the line to start his lap around about now. Byrne starts his lap now then. So heading down towards the first corner now then. Pin it down to second gear. Well, not second gear, because of course this graphic goes up to 8 gears, but that'll be down to first gear in fact. So he went all the way down to the first gear there into the first corner. As now heading your way towards turn 3 now then. Again dropping down to first gear. Very quick on the gearbox there. Quick downshift into turn 3 went there. Through turn 4. Now flat out through turn 5. He goes on. Let's see what his first sector is like on this occasion. His first sector is a 28.225. Not the quickest we've seen, of course. We've seen better first sectors. And car, as expected, 4 tenths quicker than Byrne in the first sector with a 27.823 that time bike. Can anybody try and match car? And, well, Gal came close. He did a 27.894, but still not quick enough compared to Carr. A 27.973 for Motrin, so he's showing some good pace at the moment. Is Motrin in that first sector. Into the second sector, 51.037 for Byrne. That time by through the quick chicane we go, using all the curb on the outside before making your way down towards the final 4 turns on the racetrack now then, as Byrne flicks it in. And now using a little bit of curb on the exit. Through the 3rd to last corner, you could probably just lift off the accelerator through there and you can make it through the corner pretty okay, as long as you don't have oversteer, of course. Into the 2nd to last corner now then, down the gears, now nearly flat out through the final turn and heading back down the pit straight. What is the benchmark time going to be then for Evan Byrne as he makes his way onto the front straight? Byrne across the line. What's the lap time going to be? It's a 124.138, not a good time. A 128.321 for Carr, goes 8 tenths quicker than Evan Byrne. What can Mikolas Gal do? He nearly matched Carr in the first sector. Was he able to keep it up? Gal comes across the line and he goes fastest by 600ths of a second. A 123.258 from Mikolas Gal. Roland Motrin across the line. His fellow compatriot slots into 3rd position. Roberto Gamba in the Ferrari across the line. Goes the Italian. Where does he go? He goes into 3rd ahead of Motrin. A good time for him there. Joseph Willows across the line. He goes to 4th behind Roberto, the man who replaced him, of course, at Ferrari. Here comes George Rope rounding the final turn in the Racing Point. What can George Rope do? In the pink Mercedes across the line goes the 4-time race winner. What can he manage? Across the line, and he goes into 5th position, just in front of his teammate Motrin. De Rosa crosses the line in the McLaren to go into 4th, gets in front of his teammate Willows. Gamba across the line, and he goes fastest by a tenth, by nearly 2 tenths. Franco Gamba with a 1:23.086. But what can Lopez do? The defending champion comes down the pit straight. Can he make it 3 pole positions in Melbourne in a row? Yes, he can at the moment by 2 tenths, a 1:22.872. Lopez so far at the top of the timing sheets, and at the moment could make it 3 Melbourne pole positions in a row if he keeps it up. But there's still plenty plenty of time to go. But very impressive first lap, you have to say there, Rob.
Absolutely. I didn't expect Gal to go quicker than Ka. He definitely did, but then the two Francos definitely knocked it out of the water with their laps, and looks like advantage Lopez.
At the moment, yes, and what makes it an interesting fact, Lopez and Garber, that's the same front row that we had last season, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, definitely indeed, the person who took pole here last season and the person who went on to take his first ever win here last season as well. Franco Garber hasn't had a win since Melbourne as well, so he'll be looking to see if he can get his second victory this season.
Also, the driver in third is a Red Bull employee. Again.
Yep, indeed. So far, the top four consisting of Red Bulls and Mercedes at this point in time. But for Roberto Garber, currently best of the mess at the moment in the Ferrari, currently P5 on his return at this point in time, getting in front of De Rosa and Willows. The racing points, though, not the best first lap for them, you'd have to say.
Nope, something clearly went wrong. But hopefully, if the rain doesn't pop up, they should have time to rectify it.
Indeed so, but let's see. Usually we see quicker lap times on the second lap, and obviously the 1:22.8 is not the quickest that we have seen so far in qualifying. That goes to Carr in the last session. He did a 1:22.7 in Q2 before the rain came down, so whether we'll be able to see a much quicker time, we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't rule out Carr just yet, because he might have something to offer just a little bit later on in this session.
There's something I'd like to bring up. The pace of the Racing Point at the moment, it feels a lot more like it's last season's Racing Point than this season's. Obviously, they have the new chassis, and they'll be looking to improve. Let's see where they can end up.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, as Lopez is getting wheeled back into his garage now. He's only just come back into the pits. As we wait for the next set of cars to come out onto the racetrack, the next set of laps, I should say, not the next set of cars, because it's obviously the same cars. Of course, only 10 cars left. And once again, it is going to be Evan Byrne who's going to be the first onto the racetrack for the second runs. As he now comes out of his pit box now then. So out of the pit lane goes the Irishman. Just under 9 minutes to go in this session. And now heading his way into the first few turns now. Then he goes. As him flick it through. Turn 2 there. And he'll be starting his lap very, very soon. As we wait to see who else is going to join in. There's some more cars coming out onto the racetrack. And Miklos Gal is the second car to come out onto the racetrack, not Armar Carr this time by. Through the flat-out turn 5 goes Byrne, as he'll soon be preparing to start his next lap very, very soon. Of course, Renault looking to bounce back after what was a tricky 2019 season with so many reliability problems, mainly on Jay McKenzie's end. And, of course, the team ended up finishing a dismal 7th in the Constructors' Championship after being embroiled in that big fight for 5th with Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso, and, of course, Racing Point. And Alfa Romeo, by some miracle, to the shock of everyone, were the team that were able to get 5th place in the Constructors' Championship, with Toro Rosso just nabbing 6th at the end in Brazil, with Renault 7th, and, of course, Racing Point in 8th. We'll see, though. It seems that this Renault is a little bit better than what it was last season, of course. It seems the car's a little bit better, but you never know. The reliability could still be a tendency with this car. We haven't seen too many problems yet with this car just yet, but you never know. Of course, they could still kick in.
We haven't seen it in race conditions just yet, so the Renault drivers will, of course, be hoping their car is sturdy and good, but who knows if it's going to be or not.
Indeed, as Byrne makes his way towards the first 2 turns. Luckily for him, no traffic around, and luckily for him, that Mercedes rejoined right behind him, not in front of him. So Byrne able to get a clean second lap this time by. As now into turn 3 goes the Irishman before making his way through turns 4 and 5 on the racetrack. Through the corners we go. Let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best. He's just looking at the top right of the def panel, and he's 500s up on his personal best in the first sector, but still 4/10 off of Franco Lopez at the moment. Through turn 8 goes the Irishman now before making his way towards turns 9 and 10 now then. As, I think he made a little error there. I just seen that he was having to do a little bit of a correction going into the corner there, so that's not going to help Byrne at all. I think that's going to cost him time as he makes a mistake through into turn 9 there. Let's see what his middle sector is like, and look at that. He's lost 2/10 as a result of that mistake he just made into turn 9 there. So it looks like it's not going to be an improvement for Evan Byrne unless he can somehow find a miracle in the last sector. So a costly error there for the Irishman, who finds himself down in 10th position at this point in time. He might be able to get one more lap in. So far the rain is currently staying away, so we could be in a similar situation to what we were in Q1, but we'll wait and see. Byrne now then, flicking the car in through the final turn. Let's see what lap time it's going to be, unless he performs some kind of miracle in the last sector. Byrne across the line. He will go, and he does not improve. Remains in 10th as Lopez and Gamba about to start the next laps. Galli's not up on his personal best at the moment, so it looks like he's going to remain in third unless he can pull something off in the last sectors. The Hungarian comes out of the final turn and onto the pit straight. He will go now then. Miklos Gal across the line, goes to 2009 World Champion, and he doesn't improve, remains in third. Roberto Gamba, meanwhile, is on an improvement. Let's see how much he can improve by. I'm not expecting him to get in between the Mercedes and the Red Bulls, but you never know, of course. We have seen some shocks during this qualifying so far. Roberto Gamba across the line, and he lost time in the last sector, remains in 5th. Willows doesn't improve, remains in 7th. He also lost time in the last sector because I think he had a green delta. As Motrin not able to improve. Car is on improvement, but he's going to get held up by the McLaren here of De Rosa, unless he can get that healthy toe slipstream, and he does improve, but only up into third, so it could have been a lot more, as De Rosa was not able to improve that time by. George Roke now then,
I get
making
one more
his
chance
way.
though.
He may get another chance, we will see. Another bite of the cherry. George Roke now then, look, so far not on an improvement, so a bit of a surprise at the moment here for all the racing points, as the pink Mercedes makes his way into the second to last turn. Now up towards the final corner comes George Roke in the racing point, flicking the car in. Down the pit straight he will go. What can George Roke do as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he does not improve. Remains in 8th position. Lopez not on improving. Looks like he's going to remain on 122.8 at this point in time. What is Franco Gamba doing behind that is the question. Lopez crosses the line, no improvement, and Gamba not on an improvement either, so he's going to remain in second after that lap. Now then, anybody else on a lap this time by? It doesn't look like it. So at the moment it is still Lopez at the top of the timing sheets, but we've still got 4 minutes to go, and I think we will get one more run before the end, Rob.
So it seems. I want to touch on Armor Car for just a little bit. Seeing that he was able to go 2/10 up on his lap despite the traffic, I think it's a big warning sign for everybody else. If he can keep that pace up on his last lap, might be able to take pole. That was an incredible lap when you factor in the fact he was still impeded and still managed to find some time.
Indeed. Hello, Franco Lopez, who's just joined us in the stream chat. At the moment, you are currently at the top ahead of Gamba by 2/10, but it could all still change because I think we are going to get, as we mentioned just now, one more flying lap. The racing points will be hoping to get a better final flying lap in, because at the moment they're going to be languishing 8th and 9th. But will they have enough time? That is the question. As Motrin is getting wheeled back into his garage, and Roke is still yet to come into the pits. So Motrin in wheeled back into the garage. And in the garage there then goes Motrin. And so we'll be trying to get prepared for his final flying lap, providing he's got enough time to do that, as Lopez and Gamba are about to now come into the pits. Gamba just coming in. Whether he'll have enough time to do one more lap, we will wait and see, as Roke pulls back into his garage, as we wait for people to go out for their final flying laps. As Evan Byrne, yet again, being the first to go out onto the racetrack, as pretty much expected, as he makes his way down straight. And Yui just pointed out as well that Carr actually had a purple first and second sector before he got held up by De Rosa. So had he not been held up, maybe he could have snatched pole there off of Lopez. But I think he will still have one more lap, I think, because I think he was one of the early runners. So he should be able to get one more lap in, so maybe one more chance to try and dethrone pole off of Franco Lopez and prevent him from getting a third Melbourne pole in a row. So,
well, if he can do it once, he can definitely do it again. He just needs to nail that lap together, nail those first and second sectors once again, and hope he doesn't get any traffic, and he could yet be on pole.
Rosa and Roberto Gamba are now out on the track along with Evan Byrne. Still no cars in the pit lane at the moment. There is some movement now, though. I don't know who that is. Is that Armar Car who's making movement, or is that somebody else? Let's have a look. It's Willows, in fact. It's not Car. Gal is coming out on the track. He's trying to try and see if he can try and stop Lopez from getting pole, as the racing points are now starting to come out on the track. The Mercedes is still waiting at the moment. Still waiting. They need to not leave it for too long if they want to get one more lap in. Here comes Byrne now then. Just making his way down this back straight before approaching right-hander. 6 cars now out on the track about to do a flying lap. Will he be joined by anybody else? Will the 2 Mercedeses? Will Franco Gamba? Sorry, Lopez is out on the track. Is anybody else joining him as well? Roke also. Is Carr going to get out on track? He's only got a few more seconds. Same with Gamba as well. Around the final turn goes Byrne. And Garmer out on track. He's just done enough time. Has Carr done enough to get out on the track? Yes, he has. So luckily, um, luckily, everyone will get one more flying lap in. So Carl will have one more chance to try and dispatch pole off of his teammate Lopez. As Burns starts his final flying lap. And so apologies if you can hear my dogs in the background. I do apologise. Hopefully they'll stop barking in just a little bit. But anyway, into turn 3 now then goes Evan Byrne. Now through turns 4 and 5 will go the Irishman. And
I have
now,
to say, if Mercedes let Car out like 20 seconds later, I think we would have had material to make a GP4 OC Drive to Survive episode.
sorry about that. But anyway, through the right-hander we go, as he'll now make his way towards turns 9 and 10 now. Then goes Evan Byrne, as he'll now make his way towards the left-hander. See what his second sector is like. He was down on his personal best at the first sector, and he's still down on his personal best in the second sector by 1/10. So I think Byrne is going to remain in P10 unless he can perform a miracle in the last sector now then. So,
Even if he improves, you need to keep in mind the racing points have a lot more potential. Even if Byrne improves by a 10th, which seems unlikely at the minute, still end up in 10th place.
we'll see. Byrne now then, into the second to last corner he goes, and now flicking it in through the final corner and onto the pit straight to conclude his qualifying session. Byrne down the pit straight and across the line will go the Irishman. What, can he find a miracle in the last sector? And no, he can't. He doesn't improve and remains in 10th. Roberto Garbo is not on improvement, but so far looking good for P5, unless the Racing Points can find some lap time or anybody else behind him. Roberto comes across the line and he remains in 5th position. De Rosa is on improvement. Can he get himself above Roberto Garbo? De Rosa down the pit straight goes the Polish driver, and across the line he will now go. And what is the lap time going to be for him? And he remains in 6th, not able to get hold of Roberto Garbo. Willows is not improving as he makes his way into the final few turns on the racetrack now then. Through the round the right-hander into the final 2 corners on the racetrack now then goes Joseph Willows as he'll now make his way towards the final corner onto the pit straight. We will now go, and here comes Joseph Willows across the line. Will go the Brit. What can he do? And is he going to improve? No, he can't. He remains in 7th position. Miklos Gal is not on an improvement. Heading down the straight. He was up on his personal best in the first sector, but lost time in the second sector. Gal across the line. No improvement for him there. Motrin, he's on an improvement across the line. Can he improve? And he can. He goes up to 6. So up to P6 then goes Roland Motrin. Lopez is on improvement though. The current pole sitter. Can he improve on his 1 minute 22.872? Lopez down the pit straight and across the line goes the Argentine, and he does, but only by a little bit. He only improves by a further 300s. Roke is on improvement. Across the line he will go, and only 9th for Roke. So that's that. Garber, meanwhile, comes down the pit straight. He's not on improvement, but what is Carr doing behind? That is the question. Garber, across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve. Remains where he is. Carr is not on an improvement across the line, and he remains in 3rd. So for the 3rd year in a row, it is Franco Lopez who takes pole position for the Australian Grand Prix. So now you're going to take a look at a hot lap from Franco Lopez, and I'm going to remain silent. Same with Rob.
So am I.
That is how Franco Lopez took pole position for the 2020 Australian Grand Prix, kicking off the defence of his title in the right way possible. And it was a brilliant lap indeed from the defending world champion. Is this going to lead him to a second world championship? Well, there's still a long way to go in this. Of course, we haven't even had the first race, but it is the perfect start that you'd want.
Definitely carrying all that momentum from his championship win. It'll propel him to a race win tomorrow and to the World Championship later down the line again. Remain to be seen. But what we do know for sure is that Franco Lopez and Franco Gamba once again will be the front row in Melbourne.
So a reminder of your top 10 is Franco Lopez on pole, with Franco Gamba in second, and Franco 1-2, with Amar Kar in third, Miklos Gal in fourth, with Roberto Gamba, Petter Rest in fifth, Roland Motrin in sixth, Kirishima DeRosa seventh, with Joseph Willows in eighth, George Roke in ninth, and Evan Byrne in 10th position. So there you have it then. That has been qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. A very, very exciting qualifying session indeed to kick off the season. And we cannot wait for the first race of the season. Of course, we won't be doing the commentary tomorrow because, of course, we let George do that for the highlights. But until then, that has been it. Of course, we're not done with streams just yet because in just over an hour's time, we will have the second day of pre-season testing for the 2020 GP2 season, this time being at Silverstone. We'll... Alex Broster make it 2 days in a row of topping the session, or will somebody else do it? That is going to be the question. But in the meantime, we will see, of course. You'll, of course, hear Rob for that commentary as well, providing he doesn't have any connection issues. And I think maybe me as well, but we'll have to wait and see. But until then, for this, of course, I've been JW97. He's been Robert Ionescu, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT for the 58-lap Australian Grand Prix. Till then,
before
take care.
Go, I'd like to add just one more thing. Gamba Mafia forever. Guys.
See you tomorrow, guys.